Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It is time for some more OP09 One Piece gameplay. Today we have a list that another one of my roommates has been cooking on, excuse me. They have been wanting to get into building this here Boa deck. Boa, I think, is a pretty cool leader, pretty middle of the pack overall, definitely has a just kind of generically good leader ability. It's kind of hard for a deck with an identity like this to keep up with something like what's his name? Doflamingo, right? This guy. Kind of hard to keep up with a Doflamingo in the meta, right? He is just so oppressive in that way. But we're gonna give it a shot here. We'll go ahead and run through some of the cards here for 2Ks. We got Kaya, also as a draw 2 trash 2, which we probably won't be using too often. That 2K can be pretty valuable. We also have Buggy here, which we'll be mostly using as a 2K, and Crocodile, which will be rounding out our 2Ks, putting us up to that 12 2K point. Then we've got a couple of blockers. We have the Don Quixote do Flamingo, and we have these Trafalgar Law blockers. I'm not super sold on these one-cost law blockers. I've been seeing them in a lot of lists, though, so I'm interested to see kind of what they're, how they're supposed to be used and what we can make happen with them. I think they're definitely interesting. But little 4K blocker, little 1K blocker. Top end specifically, we're going to be having the Don Quixote do Flamingo. We have this 6-cost Boa as a one of. We've got our 10-cost Kaido as a one of. And we have these 10-cost Kaidos for removal as a one of. These are all going to be pretty solid. The Boa makes it so that something other than Luffy can't attack. These two are removal. And then this Kaido is going to be just draw a bunch of cards, right? Infinite card hand size, basically. Next up, we have a couple of cool tech cards. Charlotte Pudding, of course, is just super solid to have in any blue deck. Then we're going to have our Searcher, Sengoku, right? He's also solid, going to be our, not Whitebeard, pardon me, our 7 Warlord Searcher. Jozu for a little bit of removal. Jinbei. Jinbei is honestly kind of interesting in this deck. I feel like he doesn't hit as much as he does in, say, Doflamingo. Oh, I'm so sorry. Turn green. There we go. That'll be a little bit better for you. He doesn't hit quite as much as he does in Dofi, but is still very key to the kind of curve game set of this. Playing out the Trafalgar Law, bouncing a card, playing out Crocodile, bouncing a card. Also, like all these cards that we're playing, we're reducing our hand size generally, so having them bounce a card will also draw us a card, getting a little bit more value out of them. Most of the cards that he can play are going to be these 5Ks. We don't have any Edward Weevil in here, which I do think is an interesting choice for the Boa decks in general. But, you know, we're already drawing a card off of these cards or removing a card at the same time, right? So we kind of want to prioritize that. Then finally, we have our spells. It's pretty simple. We got the Gum Gum Red Rock, which will remove anything for 6. And for 7, we have our Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, that is going to be removing 2 6-cost characters. I would consider, we may make some edits to this for my own play style, maybe going a little bit higher on the events. We'll definitely see. We're going to go ahead and hop into some OP09 gameplay here. We'll see how we can do. I played this deck a little bit. I've had a mixed amount of success for sure. We've played against some Blackbeard. We played against some Red Hair. And played against an NL, which was a little bit miserable, but I know that that is a pretty rough matchup for the decks like this. So give us just a moment, and we will be back with some more of this blue deck. Hey, there we go. We're back. We found a Chopper. Chopper is an interesting one. We've got a 2K in hand. We've got a Law in hand. I think we can go ahead and rock with this. Being able to start off with the Searcher. They're choosing to go first. We'll be able to Searcher and drop a 1K blocker. Seems like a decent enough hand to keep. If I'm not going to be using a chump blocker in this situation, when am I going to be using it, right? Because Chopper's going to be swinging fast. He's going to be swinging decently big as well. So we'll see. He's going to go ahead and get his Kureha down. Chopper is definitely going to be playing a lot of other Choppers. He's got 20 Doctors in there. That's kind of interesting. So we are, like I said, going to be playing this guy out. Draw the Jinbei. Don't even think about that. Going to be deploying our blocker. And then we end the turn. This way, for his first turn swing, we can potentially block it out, or we can consider countering it, which we are going to be doing. One of the things that I definitely think is important for this deck is you're generally going to be countering out pretty aggressively. You're going to be running yourself down in hand size. We're going to play out Jinbei here. Jinbei, of course, on play is going to be playing out our Trafalgar D Law. And with the Law, we will return our Searcher, and then we will go ahead and bounce their 20 Doctors. We'll use our card action to draw another card. Because we countered out aggressively on that first turn, we got to use the whole suite of abilities there because we went down below the 5 hand size. And we get a little 5k swing. Nice development on the board. Interesting. Some minks as well. This is definitely not the traditional chopper list. We shall see here. Okay, you're going to be using your chopper ability, but it doesn't really do too much here for you. You probably just throw 2 on your chopper and swing, I assume. Go on chopper. Swing in. We block with Law. Boom. Just protecting our life total overall. Seems like a pretty good idea. Let me see what we want to do here. Draw Dawn. We have a couple of Searchers. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and just do that exact same combo again, I think. We'll go ahead and pop the Searcher. We'll draw the Boa Hancock because we're about to be on that level of Dawn. And then we'll go ahead, play Jinbei, play out Law. The question is, you know, we should definitely go ahead and bounce. It's 5 or less cards in our hand. So we bounce our Searcher back to our hand, and we will bounce probably the Hiking Bear back to their hand. We use our card action to draw another card. Now we get to swing with 6k. We get to swing with 5k. We did bounce a 2k back into their hand. Probably should have considered that a little bit more too, but that is a-okay. They're much less happy to use that as a 2k than they were to just have it on the field. And another 5k at your face. And so basically, we're just perma-bouncing these Sengokus back to our hands, and then next turn, I'll give you a hint. We're going to pop a Sengoku, and we're going to search for another Jinbei, right? Which I think is pretty nice. When I do hit this curve for this deck, it definitely feels pretty good. We're throwing 5 onto the boy. We'll go ahead and counter that out. I think we probably counter out fairly aggressively here. Not necessarily trying to win next turn, but we're looking pretty dang good here. Draw a card, draw Dawn. We could try to use Red Rock to bounce his blocker back. We bounce his blocker, bottom deck his blocker, right? We draw a card. We'd have 2 Dawn left over. We'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swings. He has 5 cards in hand. 2 of our swings would be 6Ks, or one of them would be a 7K. Probably not the best idea to go for lethal. We're a control deck, right? Let's go ahead and play a little control. We'll pop our Searcher and go ahead and draw this guy. That's all right. Do you have any cool on attack effects that I can stop from happening? No. But what we can do is we've got 6 Dawn for this guy. I'm trying to determine, because this dude does require us sending one of our characters back to our hand. All of our characters are relatively valuable to us right now. We could send a Jinbei back, actually, and I think we are going to end up doing that. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and send a 6 into their 4. If they counter this out, we're happy. At least 2 cards, right? Okay, that's pretty fine, honestly. Send the 5 into the 4. Send the 5 at face. We're just going to... The whole board's just going to go sideways here. Down to 1K. Another 5 in the face. The whole board goes sideways, and then we deploy this guy. Trash that. We're going to go ahead and send a Jinbei back to our hand to send your Chopper back, and we get a card out of it. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The Jinbei will just immediately use to send Crocodile back in next turn, right? Even though the Kureha isn't super threatening, it definitely is worthwhile to go ahead and bounce it in some situations. In this situation, actually might not be, but there's a decent chance that they play, hey, look, a 2-cost blocker. That's exactly what we're looking for. And they did Electric Luna to freeze our whole board, which is a little frustrating. I will give it up to you. I think that what we do here is we counter this out really aggressively. We hope that you don't swing this. You're gonna. That's kind of sad. If I had the counter for it, I absolutely would counter that out as well. But I think that we're just going to try to win this turn. Draw a card. Draw the Dawn. If we were, hypothetically, I was thinking that if I had an LA in front of my name, I'd be much more popular. Here we go. I think we're going to Gum Red Rock your 20 Doctors. And then we put 3 Dawn onto Boa to make her an 8. And then we make Jozu an 8. If you have 2 2Ks in hand, we kind of bite the bullet there. We could put 2 Dawn onto Boa and then put 3 onto Jozu. That's our highest probability of winning. So I think that we're going to do that instead. So we're going to do this. Bottom deck, your blocker. We'll go ahead and draw a card. 2 Dawn onto Boa to make her a 7. If you don't have a 2K, then I think we win. Now make you a 9. We already know, hypothetically, that neither of these are 2Ks. So this should be a kill shot. There's 1 2K. There's a 1K. Yeah, and the stage. Very nice. Well played. GG's all around. Interesting chopper list for sure. But got to see a little bit of the power of the Kerr, right? We perfected that game, right? Also, we perfected that game and ended the game with 6 cards in hand. That is kind of the core idea of the Boa Hancock deck. It's just you can counter, and because you're constantly bouncing their characters, you are constantly generating new cards in hand, which is pretty cool. We're gonna go ahead and hop into another one here for OP09, and if it doesn't pop right away, we'll see y'all here in a sec. Alrighty, we are back. We've got a Buggy the Clown, huh? You know, I don't have too many complaints about this starting hand. Let me go ahead and keep it. Oh, they're rushing us. They're saying go. Draw Dawn. We'll go ahead and play our 1-cost blocker out. They're going to swing with 8. I think we'll go ahead and block it out. Why not? Draw Dawn. Boom. We play out the Jinbei. And with the Jinbei, we will play a Don Quixote do Flamingo. We will sort. I think we put this onto the bottom here. And then we attack with 5 into lead. Okay, they're going to cheat out this. Three and 4 costs cannot attack. It is a little bit of a rough situation for this matchup, right? We want to remove this card as quickly as possible. Luckily, we did save this guy. No blocker, resolve. Draw a card, draw Dawn. We just immediately, we have to do this. Use a card action to draw. Attack with 5. Attack with 5. Block block second one. That's fine. Probably didn't need to attack there, honestly. Ja, ja, ja. We got a little bit of a BMer here. Okay. They'll continue working on filling up their board, which is totally fine. We want to counter this one out. No blocker. Boom. And then they're going to be hitting me with the... We'll go ahead and block that. Why not? Draw. Draw. So... I think what we do here with our 8 Dawn, first of all, we will go ahead and just attack Raw with Jinbei. I can return a 6 cost, and you are a 6 cost. That's pretty good. Even though you are draw 2, discard 1. Ja, 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 right back at you, I guess. We will go ahead and do this. Bring Jinbei back to our hand. And we'll send the Mihawk blocker back to your hand. Play one of our own, and we'll attack you with 6. They're going to Gravity Blade us. That's totally fine. We're probably going to Gravity Blade them next turn. Whoa. Hey, will attack us with that. We'll go ahead and 2K ya. They'll attack us with that one. We'll let this one through. They really do just be saying ja 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 at the end of literally everything that they say, huh? Let's see. We don't really want to return that 2 cost to their hand. Let me see. Unless we could get something really good on the top of our deck, which we potentially can here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Their turn, a 4 cost or lower. We could get the Jinbei, or we could get the Searcher on the top. I think, give me the Searcher on the top here. So check this out. We will then Gravity Blade. Use our card action for our Searcher. Use the Searcher to grab the Don Quixote. And then we will attack in here. Might have been a good use case for the 1K there. We will definitely see. Well, we've done a good job of keeping the board relatively low here, right? In order to make sure that we... make sure that he doesn't get the full build-up that he's looking for, right? We're winning the hand economy very thoroughly. And having these two out, honestly, throwing a couple Dawn on them and swinging with some 5Ks won't be too bad. He probably tries to cheat out a card. We're going to be in, like, top-end battles here pretty soon, right? Yep, he got his other Buggy out, which is understandable, but we grabbed the Dofi specifically to pop that Buggy. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, actually, but that's okay. Draw a card, play the Dofi, send Buggy back, draw a new card for us. 1, 2, 3. You know what? Throw 3 onto you and attack in. He gets to search for a cross guild. This is where it is going to get a little bit hairy. As he starts building, we start swinging into each other's life. He's going to be building his hand size back up. We do have some top end here that will help us out a lot, but we don't have infinite removal for that Buggy card, which is going to be the biggest problem. We're going to need to filter very heavily for removal that we can hit that Buggy with. Ja, ja, ja. Go, go, go. you do? You just played 10 cost Buggy? Okay, that's fine. Honestly, with the amount of searchers that we have, bottom decking our Buggy is not the end of the world. Or bottom decking our Dofi is not the end of the world for sure. Another 2 cost blocker. And you swing with a 5k. We'll go ahead and let that through. With another 5k, we'll counter that one out. And you swing with the 7, which I think is kind of interesting. We'll counter that out as well. Draw a card. Deploy. We would love to grab this guy. Deploy here. Grab you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7 is what I'm looking at here. I'm going to just attack 7 into here. Block. We attack 2 into there. And we attack 3 into your life. We definitely play a little bit low to the ground for this deck. If he gets another one of the big buggies, though, we can pop it on back. He is definitely not building up a full board of 5 costs or more, which is our goal for the long term, right? We do need a little bit of cards in hand. Getting a some laws would be really nice. I know we've already gone through 2 of our laws. You're swinging in with just 5k. I will go ahead and block that just in case. These guys he probably wants to clear out, but doesn't really have the resources to. Which is honestly pretty good for us. I feel like we're in a decent spot here. We're going to bounce 1 character back next turn for sure. It would be nice to know what's on the top of my deck right now, but... which we might be able to. No, because we played an extra one of these. Okay, you got another 7 cost, or 7k blocker. That's fine. We're going to be attacking their hand size pretty aggressively this next turn. We do have to be careful using our removal on anything that's not the Buggy, right? Because we don't have a lot of removal. We don't have a lot of removal for that Buggy specifically. So I think that we can't afford to use this Dofi. We have 2 of these Dofis. We have 3 of the red rocks in our entire deck, right? That's an interesting swing. We get a Kaya out of it. Oh, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. This will also draw us a card, which we feel good about. They probably, a decent chance that they like try to lethal us next turn. The fact that this does do an 8 cost, I think means that instead of doing that, we go 1, 2, 3 onto Boa, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And we attack her into your Mihawk. Nice. We deploy you, get you, draw a card. We love it. Attack in with the Jinbei for 5. Okay. We continue being in a pretty good spot overall. He hasn't really gotten any of his, like, this crocodile to cheat out other cards, right? If he plays another Buggy to try to lock down our 4 cost, we have a 10 cost, it'll just pop it immediately. Plays a chump blocker, we can return it to hand and draw a card, importantly, right? This is more than just returning a card to hand. Discarded one of these Buggies, huh? So that's 3 down now. Or at least 3 bottom decked, right? He has searched a little bit, so he's getting closer to the bottom of his deck, honestly. Crashes emoji, does the Dragul Mihawk. Alrighty. That all seems relatively fine. Probably 5Ks into my face here. Doesn't. This is a really good turn for us to hold on to that guy. Draw a card. Let's see. You can return a 6 cost to my opponent's hand. That seems pretty good. And you also return a searcher to my hand. Card action. Boom. Deploy you again. And we are searching. We are searching. These are the 2 cards that we really, really want. We don't get them, however. But we will at least filter them to the top. So we know they're 20 cards away. We can then 1, 2, 3 onto Sengoku, attack for 5. Attack for another 5. This is going to put a lot of cards in their hand, but remember, we have almost all the answers that we need. 5 for 5 for 5 for 5. And we get a 2K out of that one, and we got a 1K, and we got them down to 2 life. Is feeling pretty good. They're still spamming us to go. That's crazy. I don't think that they can get anything. This Buggy deck in particular, I'm not sure if it has the comeback in this situation. This Mihawk is definitely really strong. It's got some gusto to it, right? You're getting rid of another 1K. Because he's having to filter his hands so aggressively, definitely an interesting kind of situation. You have 2 2Ks in hand, so them swinging with 7 is probably ideal for them. But we will end up just blocking it out regardless. Our board state is much more important to us overall. We are not killing them this next turn, right? They have 2 blockers on the field, so we do counter this out. There are 2 2Ks. Draw a card. It's Doflamingo. We can pop both of these blockers with our 10K, which I think is pretty funny. Pop you, use card action, draw a card. I think that looks pretty nice. Attack with 5. These return to the hand, right? So he is going to get some counter back and potentially some more like card filter for next turn. But I think that the momentum that we get here, setting up this kill shot. Ooh, unlucky. He used the 2K and still ended up taking the hit. which means that he has to kill us this turn. Unless he has a Rusher, he can't. Unless he's running Rusher Usopp. I think there's literally nothing that he can do on this one. Okay. It's filtering quite a bit. GG, potentially. Oh, they disconnected. They didn't even give me the GGs? That's crazy. After all of the smack talk. Hey, pretty well played, though, honestly. That definitely got to showcase some of what this deck is supposed to do. Lots of removal, lots of, like, trading back and forth for this kind of tentative board state, and also lots of using these searchers really aggressively, which I thought was a really cool kind of note of the deck. Once we were done with the infinite bouncing the searchers loop, we were able to just kind of keep that going, right? These guys played a big part. I think one thing we could have done a little bit better potentially is using the laws to bounce other laws. Could be kind of helping us get to that infinite recursion loop, right? A little bit faster, which may help us get there. So we're going to do one more game. That was a little bit of a long one, but we will queue on up and we'll catch you all here in a moment. Alrighty, we are back and it is time for Kyros. Top card of your life, face up, KO an opponent's character with 0 cost, huh? Interesting. You can do some fun stuff with that for sure. We're going to be going second. We love playing on curve. Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. We will go ahead and keep this hand. Got this little combo here. The pudding is pretty good. Draw Dawn and turn. Pudding is not super great this early. Is okay. You're gonna activate main -2 cost. You can do a 2 cost or lower, actually. Do I want to play this crocodile out, even if he's not necessarily the best call for me? I think I do, right? We would be playing into their removal curve. You know what? Actually, let's do this. Instead of playing into their removal curve, let us bluff. There's a Sabo, okay. Keep an eye on their hand size at all times, basically. Just kidding, we're gonna immediately use that as a counter. So we wanted to hit him with something that will be a little obnoxious. Actually, this is hilarious. Let's just go ahead and pop this, and then attack their face. Goodbye, Sabo. Get out of here. Now, we're going to be going into our 8 Dawn turn. We have the Doflamingo for basically anything that they play. They have a pretty good hand built up, so they'll most likely... they just used a 2K on that 5K swing, though. They will most likely... Yep, we're going to be trying to remove that, of course. I will go ahead and take this one, actually. And then that... I think we have to take that as well. Now, we can 2K, 1K that. That's fine. Card, draw Dawn, Doflamingo. This will either bottom deck their, return this to their hand, which would be obnoxious, or it would give us a life, which either way, we're pretty content with. And turn, now we have a big body on the board. If they do end up attacking into us earlier, most likely they try to double removal here. Looks like they're running the Navy kit, right? So they probably have a Lucci in hand. They're gonna, yep, Ice Age into Lucci. Oh no, they're just gonna Ice Age into full kill with Kyros ability. Okay, sure. This having a KO 0 cost, but not really anything else, is definitely interesting. And he also has to run some cards that flip his life upside down. I don't know. It's definitely, just chump block that. Use that blocker basically immediately for anything. Next up, we play Kaido. We're going to pop these 2 and then swing at their face for 5. Boom, boom. Use card action to draw 1. get another Kaido, swing at their face for 5. They probably take it, is kind of my assumption. We haven't seen them flip any life cards yet. Although, like, Gecko into the Vision Girl who flips your life or searches your opponent's life would be pretty funny. Yeah, we basically just curved out perfectly there. We controlled their board state. And now we have a Kaido on the field, right? Them not playing like a big body that last turn is pretty rough for them. But we will get to see. Okay, they do take it, which makes sense, right? Because they're probably, let's assume, Ice Age, double Ice Age, or an Ice Age Tashigi, or like Ice Age Gecko, Rebecca, Tashigi. That still doesn't get us quite there, but you know what I mean. They're going to combo and try to kill this Kaido, which is going to be totally reasonable. And then we're going to play another Kaido and kill whatever they want. You know what I mean? They're going to keep using this to draw cards. That's okay. Always forget this Kaido doesn't actually bottom deck, but they're probably not going to be too happy when we have a second Kaido here. Now let me think about this. I think we do use this 1K. Even though you're drawing cards off of these Kaido plays, like boom, boom, use card action, attack your life. You block, attack your life again. You probably did that in the wrong order. Like, this situation is tough. The fact that he's not playing big top end is pretty telling that he probably just doesn't have it in his hand, or is just trying to go wide against me. If he tries to go wide again, we have Gravity Blade. And so this is kind of an example of a game where we didn't even end up having to use the Jinbei curve, right? We didn't use any of our searchers. We didn't use any of our Jinbeis. We just gradually controlled the board. They're going to play this combo out and probably not be able to kill. They whiffed their searcher too, which is rough. They didn't have a super developed graveyard because we've been bouncing the whole time. I can see why people play these here blue decks. So they, best case scenario, what? If they have 2 Ice Ages, they use Hina. They attack in for 7. We let that through, sure. We draw a card. We bottom deck you and you. 1, 2, 3 onto you, and we won the game. Easy as that. And that was definitely an example. They were so bricked up. Oh my god. Oh, bro, 10 cards in hand, and you have 4K counter. That is rough, buddy. But I mean, that's a good example, right? Of like, they were trying to play more mid-rangey against us, and we just kind of had some of the answers. That early swing, actually, I think was huge for our tempo, because it got a life out of their hand, right? They ended up being super bricked up, which is kind of whatever. But it got a life out of their thing, got us set onto the right track, and then we were then on the reactive turn instead of the proactive turn, right? Well, I do think this deck can play on the proactive turn. We just didn't have the hand for it. So we kind of made that decision to swap over to being on the reactive turn instead. Real neato. All right, give me a moment. We will go ahead and throw one more of these games at you here for this video. And thank you all again so much for watching. We will catch you here in a sec with the last game. All right, we're back. And it's Jewelry Bonney, a menace. A very, very scary character. I actually kind of like this hand, so we'll keep this hand. They're choosing to go first. Got a Bonney, of course. They didn't have the ability to proc it, but this is one of the reasons why I really like this hand, because we now have 2 of these small bodies out, which we can potentially use to swing into their searchers. Give me this guy. Let me end the turn. Do some resorting here. No Jinbeis popping up yet, but are feeling pretty decent about the start here. So they're going to try to tap this Bonney, right? They might try to play a Momo too. Because we have these little guys out, we at least get a little bit more pressure into the Bonney situation. There's a little. I wonder if there's any like rest your opponent's Dawn in blue. It is really nice to be able to do. I think it's really only yellow that gets to do it though. A 7K swing off the cuff here. I think we take this one. That's fine. We've got a pretty good hand size for whatever they decide to throw at us. And they didn't leave themselves a Dawn, which is super interesting. I mean, we're going to attack him with this guy. We are going to attack into your leader with Bonney. Take it. And then we're going to Pudding to give you 5 new cards, and we end the turn. Okay, Rouge. He's an end of your turn, Andy. 2K this one. We will probably just pop the Rouge back to your hand. Even though the Rouge in general is a pretty decent play. We have 6 Dawn. I can return a Rouge with this guy. I could return the Pudding to my hand, but I think I want the Searcher. We'll send the Rouge back. Play our Searcher out. Grab another Croc. And then we will go ahead and attack. I assume that you're going to try to stop the... Oh, interesting. Okay, sure. They gave us an extra attack there by resting the Law. Sorry, I had to mute that combo real quick. Got some OEG stuff cooking in the background. Play Rouge back out. You swing with 8K, you say. I think that it's funny, and I think that I double 2K this, right? We value our board pretty highly. Are we just going to restand 1 Dawn for you? Oh, come on. They forfeited off of that? Oh, so sad. I mean, we did have a pretty decent situation, right? Like, we were going to keep bouncing stuff. I think that the blue versus green matchup is definitely going to be an interesting one. Well, unlucky. So we would have... So, just to run through, like, what our next turn would have been, right? We were probably going to Jozu and pop the Rouge back to hand, and then... yeah, we had to Jozu, unfortunately. We had to Jozu to pop a Rouge back to hand. We would have swung a couple 5Ks and had a decent board built up. They were decently bricked up, but I mean, they had like the Kid. They had all their cool like green Timmy cards, right? They had the Dofi that we would have definitely popped back. The Gum Gum Red Rock basically exists for this Captain Kid, right? That is what it is there for. Kaido as well. If we can keep bouncing that Kid back to their hand, we're feeling pretty good. But definitely they had a couple of misplays that caused them to cancel out the match there. Well, hey, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for watching. Enjoyed the blue deck. That was not too bad. The Robin deck in general, I think that even the 1-cost Laws definitely came in clutch enough. You know, they helped us out where they helped us out. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I will catch you around here next time. We'll see what new deck the roommates are cooking up, or what new deck I get to cook up for the series. Peace.